Yeni dia beba so se me ka kire mo. Me ka je bu se abusua no ene o mo adwene ho a yenu beba so. Match no ebetima aba so.
Me finally happy, there were threats. My wife was even threatened. Emma pressure, domestic pressure, no me happy. I'm saying because that pressure, if it is obvious that we had a bad case, why will anybody threaten anybody?
Apart from your caliber now, Oba present here, Judge Bibeka say, Enyen or Obia for free baby. Nase, I will see a bisa once a me pa. Then pan a baby a man I can say, Moko ye free baby and your original.
I don't body.
I do money free if I don't know.
Now, what's your judgment? Judge, initial stages of the judgment say evidence for say or ordinance marriage certificate from Germany. They are only second one, and until the document cannot be original. Otherwise, it wouldn't sit with her decision. But certificate, I can tell an authority it wasn't fake. It was original certificate from Germany. And you see, the facts he was narrating he was threatening the law because you see, they were ordinary resident in Germany, or Bani Okunu, or Ma Echo School, or Majuma or Mufi, and a man, oh yes, or Bagana. One I deserted in Yongo. Wow, Ufria, if you have Bagana, no. Or Bano to Germany, desert. How can anybody even have that level of reasoning? Unless for Bonnie. And if the judge says that, or desert Lumba, I mean, why? 1 + 1, I don't know 5 and maybe no German nationals. No free Germany about Ghana. Also, remember that. I did a logic. But the judge was bold to make all these comments.
Abusuan da number yen dear Abusiano Abeye Fufro. 99.99% Abetoja said that Lumba a yen dear Abusiano Abeye a yeno Fufro. And that Mammy Akosua Serwaa Ekopiemu ewo eye Parkoso ahimfie and that Lumba Abusiano Ekosia said ye Abusian akoko entu obedwam na eye empanyin komo so yin no obedwam ntino Abusiano Ekosia ewo kukuamu eye de ekodi eye enkomo na ono akire no nkomo efira akire eba ne se 99.999% eye ne de foforo ebeba so ewo march mu said ye betodwa no nanso ebia na akọ 28 29 fum ho ye ko eye march bosome no awie ye honom eye baabi no ono ana wo se abusua ma China ena kire se ogina honom a abusua one Parkoso eye mmabaawa no ene omutwumume pa abusua omo eye de etonyom na se onni mama China yi a wanhwe yi a obeka se wo ye kohwini bi ba anat wanhwe yi a odnanim ebetwitwiri fom wanhwe yi a obeka se bia mama China kra ekom de no ebia na oni bibidi ebia de Lumba nsem yi ena abusua nei ono so eba bedi akire akopa agyapade bi ede abusua efie a eye mama China ejira mu ya akire se nei abusua mutwe mumome yi efie ya ye de akire wi eye mama China no ankasa efie a wono asabi atimisika aye de ede esere so no confirm se mama China nya obi asabi kom de no a okodi de Lumba nsem ochi akopa de kire se abusua obedie no mkopie mu ene ewo Parkoso no ensem bebre no esisi ye ema enkomo aye den ekoso otim se enigie eya abafie no no na abusua na ezuso eye lawyer Kusi maami Akosua Serwaa lawyer Kusi ababontre agrati interview be kai a anopa maami Akosua Serwaa ekopie mu ewo eye lawyer Kusi office ni chamber ewo eye adum ansa no de na ni kire mu ewo Parkoso na kyese nkomodie eye de ekoso na ono na lawyer Kusi ababontre wo grati interview edifa judgment a call so ewo Kumase concerning a legal wife issue no ne lawyer Kusi make very serious statement bia o se sa judgment na oba no judge no e de baye no uri di judgment no ba bia aya adwenbone a judgment enko kan se what certificate no eye fake ni abusu panyin be make comment bi se omo complaintin wa asafo no sa judgment na lawyer na de baye no sabio eye adwenbone judgment na lawyer no eye judge no e de baye no na lawyer Kusi kire mu pe ɛyɛ lawyer no ɛyɛ judge no verdict no de bae no baabi a amanfoɔ nhyɛda wudidie no lawyer Kusi wuridi hɔnom no ɛhɔ no ogyina so de kaa sɛ saa judgment na judge no de bae no ɛyɛ adwenbɔne judgment deɛ judge no ɛtwerɛ yɛ wɔ the verdict no ɔno lawyer Kusi sɛ so deɛ asɛm me Kusi sɛ wabae no sɛbi ɛyɛ holidays no bae to kɔtene baabi so bi se na japade dabi we ɛyɛ holidays ɛna ɔba bɛ die na busua odi nkɔmɔ bi kɔ deep pa na ano ɛdre but any kind ɛhwɛ first video abra amanya Akosua Serwaa ɛkɔpie mu ɛnɛ ɛwɔ ɛyɛ Parkoso no abusua mpanyinfoɔ ɛnananom ɛkɔhyia yɛ ɛwɔ kokɔ mu di nkɔmɔ no ɔmu wie no ensɛm wei ɛna abusua ɛbɛtɔ odwa ha AHINTASEM TV. Subscribe, like, and share the comments on the form. Share your first video. Emra.
Trouble no dear. Trouble no dear. You sense. I say more dear man in every share. Me say Anyasafo and a support to my Akosua Serwaa. Anyasafo and a support to my Akosua Serwaa. Abusafo and a piano. Dia hope our high. Abusafo. Rare abusia almost support to my Akosua Serwaa. Rare abusia for almost support to my Akosua Serwaa. For studio ni maybe for rare Parkoso Royals abusia kron. Abusha mama chere madie bi won we fie ya ye wo mi mama China single handed the food fie nu nyina mama China dia ensin kofo na moji mama China atem no abusha no nya abushafo Abusiano nya abusiafo 63-year-old lady Abusiano nya abusiafo wane be ware mama China no ka masa jama se apapon o se la sa menen be ye interview o si kwadwo ifie na yeti mi ba koso wo ha mi ka je me se me de be kire mo akwanya na ba full compound, nice compound. Namo guys abusiafo. Namo amano acha se ayi tabwa ya di bofu na adaka so. Namo di abusia we atem. Nipa bi anano acha se tabwa ya di bofu na adaka so. Na wo ba be di abusia ya atem. Abusia. Esa free. Ya ne mu be wie. Me ba ja me de ma no nye me ni ma atem di isiro. I feel I'm under training. Teacher, ma, so Odeja, one over person of Kwaku Christo, you know. Oh, the other guys say more. To rare abusia and a wano. I said, Busha, pay you to park so near Busha for a year, you know. Or near Busha for bay and a year, you know. When you abusiafo ben and a year ya chema titi ni anintina omo ye abusiafo papa we mu na real abusia we mu na ye rare abusia o the rare moja papa wahu so wahu mame Georgina mame Georgina so wahu mame Georgina ni fifth born ye mame Georgina wodi Lumba de ni fifth born ye ah we sofo ha maame George na Lumba maame ye di Lumba je oni won hu abusua no we mu na ye abusuafo ai we mu na ye re abusua ati ase abusua kronkron wo hu abusua kronkron che ma dia sabe kwani nche wo fie ma ba ja bomboko o ba kwaju bra kwaju media ma za ho ye ene dia ma ho ye kakra kama ma nyame adom hu se ho aye den wow papa oba ya bogu afina ma apie abusia that's it yenu dia beba so se me ka kire mu me ka je bu se abusia no eno mo adwene ho yenu beba so match no ebetima abaso match no ebetima abaso I think around March 28th, 29th. I think so. I stand to be corrected. Ayenu betima baso. Yeah. Ayenu ebe baso live and colored. Me pacho Ghana, ye be no Ghana. I bet my basu wakra, I bet me, but for now no dey. Ayenu dey. Breeding for me pacho ye be ye abrimponye. Ye be ya santemo. Aye dey aya wan mo aje na akom, na je ne na ya se ese no. Se wan wunu maduane no a. Se oh, me some video me picture. Never mami pe picture. Wow. Wow. Just a Parkoso so crowd also mo manenko. Mama China. Yeah, she say betime. Also Eva. Ayibra okay, kwajo mra na Tebusia. Yeguso, we are still following the convoy. The bomb what you say betime dey akire na bibia ayekama. Breeding is allowed. Ye be yabrimponye. Me pacho betime atena ofie na watoto ntasu agu phone anim. Akasa jejejeje enye yasem. O phone no aye wi ahwia ho hwe. Eho kan because we say apro. Enti se wo be kan ye aye ho asem dia mpacho ye na watwitwe wo se. Yesere mo. Why? Enti yesere mo. Ye be ye aye papa. Enti mo a mo be twitwe ntasu agu mu phone no ani no yesere mo wia mo nkopa akasa. Na mo fa twitwe phone no ho. Yesa mo di pie onipa mu a ye be dwane agya mo. Why? Yesere mo. Ye de chow pan ye de mamo. Ye ha adwen ye wo afutuo na di amamo. Yeah. Enti enim se anwumne nkrofo beba abe kasa bebre. Yesere mo.
Abusua ana kire se ensam no ana kire se wotie na se eyi ne de. Abusua ye dan ya ebeba so. Ye dan ya kire se be ya bremponye ade ahye da de Lumba ni din no animonyam ade ate eye nanim enti ne yehwe sese abusua no asabi mpradu atada de Lumba efiri mu no a akonya ewo fie honom no se ne Parkoso hene ene eye abusua no o mo ye twetwomutwe no eye da de Lumba ne maame enuanom eye da de Lumba ne wofa eye da de Lumba nuanom da de Lumba wofa asenom ene sabi mpradu asa ahemfo wo fie honom no etra te so mo ye yi a ye behwe se enei ayakwarens amankwa baabi a obetimi yakosi wo mo kwan no ne wo prove akyere ye amyahwe koso se Ghana mra ebekwa akɔkye wo mo enti enei so mo transe so mo ye yi a na tumi a ayakwarens amankwa wo no bakɔ prove e de akyere busua no ɛhɔ no bɛte ne kakanka ɛhɔ ɛno bɛte ne kakanka ye nyina ye twɛn that day no ne yahwe Baby Ghana ma sa akɔre nsamankwa ne tumi a wono betim de akɔstop obi ayi no eduru hono mo a ye nyina ewo kurum ha ye behwe abusua fe ye firi hono mo en na yankɔ eyelo ya Kusi so akache abra oba abontre after sama me Akosua se one client ekɔsra no na enkomodie eye de ekɔso no ono na tere bi ka akache no ose judge no judgment no sabi prodiasa efa ba bi aya adwombo ne judgment enkoka se aye judge no beka se certificate no aye fake no na be de no no lawyer Kusi se producer akofa certificate aye fake e de aye den e de aba court na sa asem no a judge no kan no aye adwombo ne atempa na kire so kan ye na ono ne ebusa ne se e de nkyeremu na wo e for that particular statement to use said the judgment no was aye adwombo ne judgment no kyeremu se aye verdict no a judge no de buy no written one no okokan e for ba bia judge no esteti wo mu se ojetumu se eye that Lumba our ordinance marriage our German abontre so dia na kire say that particular eye awade ni si that Lumba ho kwan se wontimi nkwade foforo enti saa ne de ogina wono so aka certificate no eye fake tie eye nsem no alo ya Kusi kan yi tie ni nsem no kan yi o se judge ne se so no judge ni gitumu say maami Akosua se wa certificate o de buy no e original na se that Lumba awale ordinance aware e wo German dia na kire so no prevented that Lumba se wontimi nwale oba bia enka na yira Akosua se wa ho enti wo gina wono so aka se certificate ni ye fake tie said ye be ya obetimi akate ma ne mienu nyina eye yere cause according to Kusi say judge ne say ojitum say certificate na original ontimi ma wodo broni ma ye yere saade a ogina so aka say certificate ni ye fake na che ono nti na lawyer Kusi say that particular eye ade no lawyer ne kan ye no eye sabi predia allegedly adwemponi statement eno make ye wo the judgment ne mo no 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 services su dia say efri ada or try say or call appeal pe and a threat e sha say ba no so ene ne yede de threat nkwan na de akono so ono mo say ene say asem ye di nkunimu o cause asem wo mo see ye ni case ni certificate ye fake de na say bi ye koya appeal de ka munya ye eye de na mo say threat ye ane abusia nkomo de no ye Kusi de bi ensam de wo hwe bi e de go e hwe ni video no mra
lawyer wadawroma bronye ya chi na ehu se o client walande na omuhia no airport na baby fe na ye bi tan enura ne nekura de kote ekura ne se wo ba Kumasi airport na nkrofo nim so obefo aeroplane meaning so na tu nifo a ma ne fa car eti na obedu Kumasi na o se ohun se ne nkrofo je o se o sanfa fm de ekọ airport dan tia hwe abranti a won soma ma no nkogina ba bi mo ntim poda obeba be ka asem se do hu ni pepepe no enti e no kora maame no wo de car na free enkran e bai Kumasi no hu se na chitafo wo prempe the first airport 20 no ko ho ana na wadaro mu makeka bum ye okuna ye kura wa ama e de ne ma ne bai de botai wo de bai ne se
about holidays oba fie asanko into oba na just say Amani be also ye was in Ghana no also Kofi or lawyer waha about also best rami Senkrata buha ye beshu mani ashim afutuo bi ameje free no in terms of facts. I'm so legal advise them when I'm some their man. And that is exactly what she came to do. So far so good. Do Accra almost was Kosra Abakumasi or church and penny for especially what Mujina man a brand new Ghana no. So we are in Krata also ye be a make sure so I answer no. We are was uncle near to Juma so I pin it a super young Juma. Once a process. And the hands of best in some evidence and sense no. Duah yakojina mama sanity.
Awusiafo oba panini Akosua Serwaa, the late icon Daddy Lumba na yere na yere panini na ebon komo no. Na owura monyamfo lawyer William Kusi kofaraba kofa Dominion Chambers by ne client ana oba wo koma no ana wodi nanim amamra atoto ne manyina yi amano no the late Daddy Lumba na yere na ebon komo no. Lawyer wadawruma me adesua wasua si nkyanya with all due respect fa cheme menim se wo akani ede na si wo kwan se obetu obayifo se omra maye okuna yie ni bi na mpo daachi bia no sin se ayi na chi no na fe no oba na nkrofo chihira no ade ama otim se obetu se omra na afe ya bibia wi na ana ho de nya wasam
No sir, you share circumstances now the year na she couldn't have come because a day before the year there was an application before the court na abusuafo no seeking to restrain the court from moving ahead the head of family from moving ahead to perform the funeral. And she had that information and we knew the circumstances the facts before the court the baby a court may grant it. Because at the time, no, was a fire application. I call police headquarters. Omo person who they said buy Lumba free move, which was a criminal matter. And the police actually almost can complain. No more young Juma. And I was surprised. I was not surprised when initially it came to court not grant the application, no, because we be already. Ekunu obedience here body now investigations. So I was more surprised when we had the judge na san frɛ the lawyers involved so mom no san ni asem no foforo.
Na lawyer ho no onim na me pe emre bi a emranim ni bi te sɛ mumu bi ebeka court asem na ya nsem fata no ya bisa because me gina fidie so yɛ adwuma matiefo etie me bedi madanse sɛ yedi nkomo no an ehunu sɛ abusua no se omon empene so nti se ni na court nye na court bua ye se de abusua ne kan modu ne se nti won ma mutumi eti ye de yesese ye ne ma afirafidie so akono ye bete ne se court se ma okra ye frɛ ma ekoba se wo se court se si enkonya foforo na emum enya court dem mo se de o kan asem foforo no e ba to minim kwa mo fa sa mudi mu nsem na fa na mudi asem a edimu.
It was a strange occurrence. Adia yenye court chini. So court a ma order bisa. So a Fontus official which is his official capacity to pronounce on the matter and has been taken away from him. So betima concern this will be the application number or an appeal. It sounded impossible for a court to recall the parties involved, lawyers, where is his jurisdiction? The other France will be on for application, but to if you say lawyer near the application, how did they send the application? It was, and to me, it was one of the darkest days in our legal life. Say, court beat my ass, but whatever it is, now, send it here. The time was so short for anybody to file an application. Say, your court near Nyamra because I tell you no Kusi no. And do file ya before I best file na adiachi. Near several. Gavana best several process no. And until now see if you taken good faith near ma and near my cost so send a bear mistake go maybe to my correcting later. And that is what happened. A strange appearance. Where the judge's opinion, the procedure was wrong. So we have situation where the judge opines like they see Kumasi during that, no. Obey correct. See, you can go on appeal and challenge his decision. But where the San Francisco, you need it's unheard of. But it happened though, and I'm happy that it has gone in the records. Say ABC or Ghana. How many days you had in law school?
And Pepi ni yakasa. Okawa semna kakrawia. Now the education tato. Meaning I said, Sabi, the oti ho a odi asem no ba no oye emranim ni a wasuya de said the wasuya de no. Na de nia sabi with all due respect or the common sense be kan ho. Eti wo common sense na de kan ho na ene ne de na anye pa nka be ha.
Emranim common sense. What do I say? Yeah, very common sense in Muyamra. Yes, and Kofa. Between me white, or more experience will be as some common sense. Then go apply. Where you work law school, you have to tell you kind of district court, not about circuit, and not about high court. All these things is to train your mind to make legal decisions. And do the common sense could be as a more high court. I said, what?
As I'm
Emra. You may not like it, but that is the law. You have to apply it as it is. And that is why we are challenging the decision.
Nice one. Our client, apart from holidays or buy, or adwenfoforo bi fa okunu wo ne ho ne anamon bi a wosere wo ma odi na manu 2 year wo court no ho ana
oni adwenfoforo bi oba fie besra abusia mekura na mene ni nhia ya kasa ofon so nto obedo nsa betum nsayem adofo ba so se na Ghana fosi don. It tells you that Ghanaians disagree with the decision of the court. Ghanaians disagree with the decision of the court.
Nipa ne question airport one na ma dwena yam kesene nana.
Of course. No, don't bring me back and talk about together.
Nipa wo omko hia maami wo airport one. Ene wo mo ba yi no wa quantify ahwe.
I am a quantify.
There in a dozen.
The funeral, let me tell you about the relative term of the numbers. In fact, numbers no could share a dozen, but that is even a lighter side of it. Because when himself, Akosua Serwaa's arrival in Ghana was uncertain. And they took just a few hours to organize those people we saw at the airport. And the advertising and a year to the advertising here, big boss, a big crowd. And so, Nipama, among free districts in the zone baby. What does it? You could see how light the attendees were. So, and compare every funny says, I could just say, I just obey a year. And I just say, a Kohai, Kumasa Bakobeka, and some national. Yankum.
Social media they say oh no you dan pass across o hewachi cause social media na manipa ye fie nyina just security bia e porous
no kura na me no sura abofo no anya roja de ni me so mo sura abofo no obo me ho ba kese pa anti amayo ahotoso sanya me doye unim se ali baba me fale api no. There were threats. My wife was even threatened. Pressure, domestic pressure, and I'm happy. Because that pressure, if it is obvious that we had a bad case, why will anybody threaten anybody? We are standing for justice and we will get it. I'm so confident.
lawyer. Yes, na Papa she crack bi enkrofo feel say original certificate now more than a photocopy ko two baby said enkrofo be kan no. Asem you my card some komani ba ho. No credit or certificate bi aba. Na sa na tia wo be ma kwan ma o mo dia akochere.
Certificate, I mean, can some in court, we usually send the copied ones. And we got her to send us a certificate. And copies in the court. You now say, judges, okay, or the 2 million or so original. Good just say, why? Envelope or the mail by in a cry. Yeah, the court. So originals in. And we were all surprised when the judge says, office they are going baby now, and your original now. And look, the level of
judge, who say judge not doing and say, and your original, I'm going baby.
Now, the document, no doubt, is you could see it's not from Ghana.
Because
your family book.
A lawyer of your caliber now, over present here, Judge Bibeka say, enye no obi akwa free baby na say I was here bisa ho asem yi pa then pa na beba ntia e man agene be ne say mo koye free baby na nya original
agene boni
angel it is na
you know that I no impinu me integrity kura to suggest that me no go for fake documents about court what for what am I going to gain from it? Because I know sincerely that the parties, the lawyers on the other side knew it was genuine. The judge said, knew it. Now, what's your judgment? Judge, initial stages of the judgment will say evidence will say or ordinance marriage certificate from Germany. They are ultimately second one, and until the document cannot be original. Otherwise, it wouldn't sit with her decision. And I want to make an answer. I say,
Clay.
Exactly. If she has to decide against us, then she has to say that the certificate was fake. Otherwise, there was no window for her to decide that both of them were wives. And on a lighter side, she has always sought to explain that she met them in the middle and then promoted peace. You get the point. And in the attempt to promote peace, she has to say our certificate was fake. My certificate, I can tell on authority, it wasn't fake. It was original certificate from Germany. So,
wow. Lawyer, that's it. Now, what are my Ajuma Ekurawi? Abushia, SCA that Lumba, Mamre Kwanshui, appear who be here.
In fact, Osha in Krata, medical quarter, and you're from the medical quarter. May seek for injunction because we saw a rush to bury the body when we were talking about who is a wife and who can perform. These were the two things that the court had to address as far as we are concerned. If you can really phone, I have to phone that you file process if you they want to do a postmortem. And that the opinion is not even the rightful person to conduct the funeral. I know Yabusiafo, they had their lawyer. Maybe the status of Akosua as a wife is what I was prosecuting. And it is as relevant today as it was when the action was taken, because I've said this, the disease is cancerous. Because it's cancerous. I tell you, low, my bet spread, just say alone, you know. It is very bad for a court to look at the certificate of a country like Germany and say that, fake. Couldn't say in diplomatic circle, that country can also say they won't accept any certificate from Ghana because of that decision. And I will be irresponsible if I sit down for that to happen. And what I can do is to prosecute an appeal, which will probably look at it differently and say that, oh, it was an original certificate. Because German certificate, the idea, one social media, people were posting theirs. There were no signatures of the parties on the certificate. And it will conclude that because the and Akosua say about the certificate signature no akoji bi the almost sign no aba. Everything we said was true, except that they had to refuse it in order that they can create peace in court. But it is tried knowledge to be worried under German, won't be worried second wife. I don't hear. I ABC. So to succeed in doing that, they have to say, we couldn't lead evidence to show so what Germany. But Miss Mamma so one the represent here, your Dobroni court. No. In his evidence was see Lumba catch him so worry or Germany. Nadana more worry no. Ye bizarre was saying now I didn't break it down beyond record. One kasi were good no. I break the records are there for people missing Kofi proceedings, especially almost criticizing you know. They should look at the proceedings and know exactly what happened. They admitted Lumba had told them on 2 occasions that he was married in Germany. And then Bizarre said, did you look at the certificate of divorce? They didn't. And I'm saying, oh, I'm 419. That's the trend of the cross-examination. That if you knew somebody was married under German law, that's about you have to ask for a decree of divorce. Otherwise, it could happen that the marriage was subsistent. You get the point? So, to me, there was evidence overwhelming. Ghpage says that he wasn't there when they were married, he wasn't there when they were divorcing. To them, who has MBA. Although Bruni witnesses there, Lumba catch him say, our dinner a good one customer could teach him. And so there was even evidence apart from the issue of certification and all. I say Mranama Kwanso Jitum, even though there was no certification. Until we are confident, and yes, Lumba and Embassy, and I hear be and through Dobro, but we want the truth. What does it?
The legend that the Lumba wawuno ye see no ena eha wonom ena omoni odobroni so ni asem bia na mum no kore was nothing but the truth shall set you free. Ti no kore na mo pe no a meboa
ale baba
papa
unim say so bi ho say protect over san kula nketenkete na ya wo mo. And we are very sensitive and mindful about that. We are not irresponsible. But you see, marriage is a big institution. Every society, society break it down. Yeah, so-called and second one. We should respect that.
Sure.
Obaso worry too. Amania wadi o wadi which is a man boss. I can focus the for bro. Muslims say for I can marry more than 4. Once it is under customary marriage. Why? Who is compelling them to marry under those ordinance laws so that they can marry? Who is compelling them? If you make a choice, you should live by it. You can't get the court to say, I don't respect your certificate because it has not been certified, when the facts are quite obvious. And what do we do in court? Justice.
Of course.
The truth is very important. You can't gloss over it. And you see, we refer to the judge, say, the Supreme Court has several said the court should not rely on technicalities and for them to defeat justice. It is so when the facts are there, you don't say when the law has given a caveat, say a certified crana, that's a many who are we took 8 days to hear a complete case. Ghana, what to be that day? 8 days are the case that we wanted to cooperate with the judge to come to the end before the funeral, which we did. And you see that we have been quiet about the judgment. Because appealing, he has ever commented too much. We go to the course of appeal. We only come in when people are blaming, trying to blame us. They are perfect work within that short time. Lawyers, lawyers, I do 5. The lawyer,
I don't know.
Last week, a friend is from Pong. I'm not different from
yeah, lawyer, not different from
Mr. Ona now, social media, so to I am so 70.
What in the meal?
Because she and so I'm a classmate.
Okay, just catch me.
I'm a classmate.
Law school and basic.
Law school.
Well, okay.
Ono wanye jurisprudence because no makola.
Okay.
Any jurisprudence.
It's not the okay.
Oh yeah, to be say wawari na wa say for 15 years. I mean, and you see the facts he was narrating was he was threatening the law because you see they were ordinary resident in Germany. Oba ni okunu, oma eco school ho, oma juma ho, omufi ho. And a man no yes oba Ghana. One I deserted young awadi. Wow, oba ufri awadi fi aba Ghana no. Oba no ti Germany mum na desert. How can anybody even have that level of reasoning? Unless we have anybody. And if the judge says that we desert Lumba, I mean, why? 1 + 1 I don't know 5 and maybe no what. You know, German nationals. No one free Germany about Ghana. Also, remember desert. I did a logic. But the judge was bold to make all these comments. Instead of saying Lumba deserted the woman, probably that would have been a light better. Oh, Lumba deserted. There was a desertion. It was Lumba who deserted. Not the other way around. So, but they made all these commentary and people like are not cheap.
I need Jim Kwaso, Chevini could be a Lumba Dakaso. Na Yebekin kind, Nipim ne wola. Then you're meaning come out client, Akosua Serwaa, me imagine American. Rebecca saying, Obesan court to be then Panama Jeffrey court after weighing nation.
Meko court according to Meko probate.
Say. Niamana Lumba be a wire willa. Niama or the Ama Ubeko court I could prove. Okay. Maybe say more lawyers here and we are money and kukum.
So far will be a unity.
Na me can say Kobase, a chinabia could be so na the all can your clients na the all can be your client and one. A dear being a cawope. Obepasia Bessa reverse a yeni view.
But yeah, the second guys are missing interest were you. What has it? Missing interest. The person can say, Court Unkase, na Lumba, Yere, Brow, or Tiasi, ye, Akosua say, what would you be?
Oh, okay.
But no one, ma, I won't.
Now, and I can't remember what I say.
And I saw anything, no, and I would the emperor.
Solomon has no wives and concubines. The concubines now anymore.
I'm not to judge whether it was wrong for him to have taken a concubine. No, I'm not judging on that. You get the point. What I'm saying is that the law is that Lumba was married to Akosua Serwaa and no other person. Because the man is over there and the ordinance doing the second one. Two for your mistress.
Goldberry and Construction Limited for say, main country say, or more 5 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, finished apartment or more higher than a ton with a flexible payment terms. Interbusioni Juan, for numbers now a good screen sono 020 70 36 710 na efromo na enomo endi eye ehun kom afetu so se opese o mu sit down from scratch to finish so betimi aboawo se o wada bi na pese o mo pese o mu renovate so edema so betimi ayede aboawo se enei o asase and I person already started so meeting me I then abo was akwan so say na so o de open building materials so abusuya o mo betimi I then abo say usi dan e na open drawing plan ultramodern one part so contact o mo na abusuya munya bi emfama o mo no 020 70 36 710 020 70 36 710 abusuya from Sisi.